affect many economies because many countries now will then have to choose a side, whether they side US or whether they side China. Malaysia have always been consistent. We choose not to choose any side, and it's good. And that is why when you look at banyak sekarang people are talking about supply chain, then supply chain realignment. Companies are doing supply chain realignment. They want supply chain reliability, supply chain security. So they are looking at Malaysia to as one spot. Of course, ASEAN lah sebenarnya. So Malaysia have this opportunity. That's why we're seeing the growth. Investment last year naik highest ever, 329.5 billion, and that's not investment yang that one investment yang approved. So it is really approved, and we can see the 75% dah start of the investment. Last week Google announced $2 billion. 2 weeks before Microsoft. So it is showing that we can claim the credit, but actually the geopolitics is helping Malaysia because a lot of the companies are really looking at de-risking their position in China and some other countries. So that's number one. Number two, of course, we are always talking about energy transition. That's why the National Energy Transition Roadmap. Dan dalam NETR tu, Malaysia is seen as a country that is really serious about energy transition. Kita punya target is that we get to 70% in renewable energy by the year 2050. So we are on track. Nampaknya policies coming up. Nanti bulan September there's third party access, macam-macam lah policy yang akan membantu Malaysia sebagai destinasi where if you want growth and you want green growth, you come to this region, and Malaysia is one country that can provide you with that green energy. So this will help because when you look at country kita ni, our country is a very open economy. Our trade to GDP last year is 130%, right? So I mean, when you all are, of course, economic students, you know, right? Apart from government spending and consumption and investment, trade and investment are two key components of GDP calculation. So, right? So when it comes to trade, I mean, of course, export and imports together. Malaysia, being a trading nation, rely on exports a lot. So kita punya export today, 80% is manufacturing, only 20% is commodities. And another 80% of manufacturing sebenarnya, 40% of our export is E&E. So that go back to the industrial master plan, and go back to the national semiconductor strategy, because 80% of our export is manufacturing sector, right? And of course, I mentioned about investment tadi, right? And of course, what's going to drive all this productivity all have to come into play juga lah. Because there's so much that the government can spend, and there's so much that the people can consume. So we need to increase the investment and trade component of GDP higher. Dulu, during the 80s and 90s, it was 40% of total, 40% of GDP is investment and trade. Today it's only 22%, nearly half. So we are losing out over the last year. We need to build that back up, right? So to sustain this 4 to 5% growth that we want to achieve, to be the top 30 countries. And the economy Madani, we want to be the top 30 country in terms of GDP, right? So these are some things that we need to focus on. I think all of you, when you learn about the subject in theory, and of course you need to understand that the geopolitics, the Ukraine, Russia, the Palestinian, Gaza, all that will have impact. What happened to Ukraine, Russia, you saw. Energy prices went up, inflation went up, interest rate went up. So it has a knock-on effects to other economies. Even Malaysia, interest rate goes up in the US, kita kena. Right? Our interest rate is 3%, US today is 5.5. So you can see ringgit being affected. So these are all interrelated. So that's why the study of economy to me is very interesting, because it's not about economy, it's about politics, it's about human behavior, it's about public choice, it's about everything. Everything is connected, right? And of course, that's why they say when you put 3 economists in the room, there are 4 views of what economic solution should be. But that is what makes it interesting. So always open your mind, always look at outside the box, right? Of course, you need to challenge some of the already views, the conventional traditional view of how economic policy should be done, right? So there's today banyak people talk about the strength of fiscal policy to support economic growth, but when you can see how both fiscal and monetary policy plays a role. But in Malaysia, as a small economy, we need to also factor in other factor into consideration when we talk about policy making for Malaysia.
Okay, thank you so much, YB. Let's have a round of applause, the loudest one that you guys can do. Alright. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, itu saja YB, soalan daripada moderator. Okay, maybe we can move on to the next agenda. So for now, we'll have a Q&A. We'll open up the floor. We don't have a standing mic because I think it's not fair because those people who sit close to standing mic boleh tanya. So we'll go first come first serve. Okay, cepat. Dia tak sabar. Okay. Alright, wait, please. Our mic runner, we'll pass to the right one first because dia angkat dulu. Yep. That one.
Boleh dengar ke?
Boleh, kita ada mic.
Bagi.
Yep.
Bagilah.
Yang standing tu
Sina. Sebelah kanan, Sina.
Yep, okay.
You are on the right, lagi senang.
Okay, fine.
Oh, okay. Alright.
Hello,
okay,
good morning, YB Tengku Zafrul.
Morning.
So I'm Ken, fresh graduate from UM. And then firstly, I'm
graduated?
Yes, just graduated.
Oh, congratulations.
Okay. So, actually, I'm always curious. Why, I would like to ask, why did you prefer to join UMNO? And there's also a second question. Because I'm a fresh graduate from the Arts and Social Sciences faculty, and I would like to know some advice on job opportunities.
Okay. You graduated in what was your degree?
History.
Oh, history. Okay. All right. Okay. So the first question, I'm asking myself that. My UMNO colleagues here were very worried why I answer because it depends on my mood. So why I joined UMNO? Because I must say that I believe in the what they stand for at that time and now also, to be fair. But of course there are challenges. I might not agree on some of the things that some leaders might want, but to me, I believe in the goals of the party. We are moderate Malay party, and I think with this unity government, we live in the unity government, and I personally believe that as well. And on the for you, job opportunities today, I must say, is challenging, right? Depending on what areas you want to do, right? For some sectors like we were just talking about national strategy for semiconductor or national semiconductor strategy, they're saying there's shortage, right, of engineers in the semiconductor, and there stays there's shortage of doctors. I mean, so I think depends what you want to do, but out there, even if there's shortage, they always talk about underemployment. Right? So that is the other issue that the government is trying to address. There are a lot of people who are overqualified for the jobs that they apply. Okay? That is the truth. So to me, depending what course you want to do, if you are going after, sorry, not course, what jobs or which industry you are planning to go, there are some industries that are very competitive, but I'm sure coming from University Malaya, you have an edge, right? In terms of but as I said earlier, today the job market, your degree counts and how well you do, but also your involvement or in other areas. So that because in interviews, once you get into the door, everyone's equal in the door in terms of interview. They don't look at your CV anymore. They're just looking at you. They're just asking you the question to know and understand: are you the kind of person that, or they look at your values basically and how you think, right? So prepare for that because to me, job market today very, very challenging. Much more difficult during my time, was much easier. I must say in the 1990s there was the easier time, but today I know because I've got a lot of friends who are saying that, especially the market, the industry that are very competitive.
Yes.
Thank you.
Alright, okay, hope that answers your questions. Alright, okay, before that, kita count 1, 2, 3. The first hand yang YB nampak, YB boleh pilih.
Okay.
Sebab dia angkat awal-awal, macam tak fair. Okay, I'll count in 3. 1, 2. Sama dulu. Okay, in 1, 2, 3. Right, okay, silakan YB, boleh pilih.
Lady,
okay,
the boy,
boy and girl lah. Kita rotate macam tu. Alright, our mic right now, in the middle seat. Alright, mungkin boleh perkenalkan diri dulu dan bagi tahu kos apa dan tahun berapa lah. Kenalkan diri kat YB dan teruskan dengan soalan. Dipersilakan.
Okay, hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Humayun Zaman, coming from UIA.
Oh, UIA. Oh, okay. UIA.
So I'm currently the president of UIA's version of Tengku. Yeah, I'm my third.
Oh,
I'm my third second semester taking Islamic Finance. So I would like to start by saying I have the utmost respect for the organizers as well as the speaker. So I would like to ask this question, and I would like you to answer it in your capacity as a member of the cabinet. My question is, we understand that the government has a zero tolerance policy towards Israel, right? However, there's a concern arising due to the privatization of Malaysia Airlines Berhad and the connection.
Malaysia Airports.
Malaysian Airports. Correct me if I'm wrong. And the ties that we have with BlackRock, which is linked as well to Israel regime or government and whatnot. Right? So, I'm asking this person in good faith. I would like to ask you to shed light on the issue and maybe just some clarification on why the ties are there and is there any efforts in cutting those ties, because there are also pressure towards the government to cut those ties, right? Yeah, so I would just like to understand.
Okay. Alright, so those of you who may not know, Khazanah, which is a company that is under government in a way, chairman also is the Prime Minister. So they have an asset or company that is listed called Malaysia Airports Holding Berhad. Right? Again, when issue of governance, usually cabinet do not get involved in listed company and they have their own shareholders, right? And their shareholder is EPF, Khazanah, and the rest. So what has happened, as you all know, at the airports now there are a lot of challenges. The queues, the train, the luggage, so banyak challenges. So they want to improve the airport. And how do they improve the airport? To improve the airport, they need to make sure that they bring in experts. At that time, there's a company or investment fund called GIP. It's a Global Infrastructure Partners, GIP. That was, I think it was one of the companies that they consider expert in turnaround and helping infrastructure, including airports, because they own many airports all over the world. And of course it's listed, so a lot of restructuring work is to make it faster, they want to take it private. So Khazanah and EPF together with Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, are there a Muslim country, right? And Khazanah EPF, which have about less than 40%, so they want to increase their stake to 70%, but they also want money from funds like Abu Dhabi and GIP, but GIP is also, of course, infrastructure fund, so they can give the expertise, the strategic support. So they create a consortium, so they do a privatization, like you said, a general offer to take the company private. Right? And that was all done, and suddenly in March, if I'm not mistaken, GIP was bought by BlackRock. Right? So again, you must understand the governance. So cabinet, kalau macam tu, I can kacau Maybank, I can kacau CIMB, I can kacau Tenaga, I can kacau Telecom, any companies. So that is not the right governance. So the shareholder would then have to decide, right? Because it doesn't require cabinet approval for them to do this transaction. So back to this. So they will now will go through this privatization program. So to me, why they did it was completely commercial, right? But of course now, because of BlackRock is seen as a fund, is the biggest private equity fund in the world. right? And it is then seen supporting Israel among other countries also, to be fair to BlackRock. So now there's pressure, political pressure. Some people use it also to whack the government, because that's what politics is all about. But then, for us, again, on governance, we must also understand BlackRock. Who is BlackRock? BlackRock is a listed company as well. Who is the biggest shareholder? Abu Dhabi, Kuwait Investment Fund, PIF, the biggest Saudi sovereign fund, Qatar. Fifth largest actually Singapore, right? So they are a company that is also listed. So they are not owned by Israelis. They are owned by Muslim countries as well. Malaysia tak ada lah, we are too small to own BlackRock. Who is the biggest, second largest shareholder of Apple? BlackRock. So all of you yang ada Apple, kalau you really feel strongly, you shouldn't be using Apple. Who is the biggest shareholder of WhatsApp? Who is the biggest shareholder of Facebook? So you need to, where do we draw the line? You know, as a policy, where do we draw the line? I mean, honestly, right? I feel strongly about it also, I must say. But I have to be fair. I have to look at it. But because again, even if we want to interfere, tak boleh lah. Of course, Khazanah can, right? So the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance can. Right? But as a cabinet member, we can also play a role and advise the Prime Minister. To me, the Prime Minister has done the right job, and Khazanah has done the right job, has the right view, but they need to explain. They need to explain the merits of the deal. And I think they have done that, but of course maybe we can do more. But to me, we need to look at it holistically, because if we do have this strong policy that nothing can do, because you got to look at Malaysia as a country that we support the cause, right? I think that there's no denying that fact, that we feel very strongly, right? So what's important is that Malaysia, their view on this Palestine and Gaza issue very clear. We are, Muhammad Menteri really met up with the leaders of Hamas. So that I think is what is important. We continue fighting for the rights for Palestine. We know we are against the genocide that is happening, and I'm sure this should be the main focus of what we do, right? And I'm sure all of you here feel very passionate about it as well, and I'm very happy that you all are, and I think you all should continue to pressure to get the outcome that we want. I think most recently we saw the plan, but they rejected it. So keep on the pressure, and we saw 3 countries already in Europe already recognizing, if I'm not mistaken, Norway, Ireland, and Spain, right? And we are hoping for more countries. So let's continue and pressure them that way, where it's more effective. Right? Thank you.
Right, okay. Okay, thank you. That means they're happy with the answers. That's why they're big round of applause. Alright, okay. YB, is okay?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. YB, is okay. Alright. We'll go to the third questions daripada public. Okay. YB dah pun pilih. Alright. Silakan. Saudara buat jawab. Alright. Maybe you can introduce your name.
Hello. Good morning. Many thanks and the advice and the info. I'm Edmund, by the way. I'm aerospace engineer, UK.
Aerospace engineer.
Yeah. I always follow your Facebook, and many thanks for helping the country. So just one question, can they do something with the interest rate and the currency so we can get something balanced? Because now it's quite high, so just a question. Yeah.
Quite high, meaning?
Means like
ringgit too strong.
Yeah. Oh no. Ringgit quite big.
Okay.
So because most of the items imported, so maybe we can adjust and balance.
How do we adjust?
I don't know. That's why I need your advice.
Okay. All right. So for everyone in the room, just for your information, if you look at from 27 February until today, our currency has strengthened by 2.1%, right? It has strengthened, and the rest of Southeast Asia have weakened against the dollars. So we are strengthening, to be fair. So what are the reasons that we can intervene so that it becomes stronger, right? And first of all, you are looking at one angle, which is the benefits of the strengthening, but there's also the problems of ringgit weakening. Also, there's problems also, right? Because remember, we are also an exporting country, right? We export palm oil, we export oil, and all that. Weaker ringgit, less revenue also, right? For the manufacturing who are exporting, right? So what are the ways to do it? I think there are a lot of economists in this room. They outnumber you as an engineer. They will say that one option is to increase interest rate. I just said just now, our OPR, our intervention rate, our interest rate, determined by the Monetary Policy Committee under Perdagangan. They're independent. So the Monetary Policy Committee meets every 2 months. So they put rate at 3% today, right? What is the rate in the US? Which is what most countries will then benchmark them against. Well, not most funds will benchmark them against. Is US 5.5. Even Europe is 5.25. UK, sorry. So other countries are higher, right? So if you are a fund manager and you look at capital flows, where will you put your money? You put in Malaysia at 3%, or you put in US, which is less risky, higher rating than Malaysia, at 5.5. You put in US, right? So you put in US, which currency will strengthen? Dollar. So you say increase the rate then. If you increase the rate, then you'll come and tell me my housing loan going up, my car loan also going up, my company loan also going up. So which one do you want? Do you want a strong ringgit, or do you want a higher interest rate like the one in the US, right? Okay, so that's number one. Number two, I think you need to look at the economy, right? I think when the Monetary Policy Committee meet, they are independent of the government, so they will look at the economy. Our economy, I just mentioned just now, grew by 4.2% in the first quarter. Inflation is low, 3%. Unemployment is low, right? So economic fundamentals are showing that economy of Malaysia is fundamentally okay. So if inflation is high, then therefore you need to increase the rate to slow down inflation, right? If the economy is weak, you can do many things. This is the monetary policy tool. So if the economy is the way it is, there is no reason. I guess that's what MPC or the Monetary Policy Committee said. No reason to increase rate. So again, if you don't increase the rate, how? So this is all the capital flow. But of course, in the longer term, right, economic fundamentals, the view of many lecturers here, I'm sure, is that economic fundamentals will reflect the strength of the currency, right? So what we need to do is to make sure that we continue with the fiscal reforms, right? We have the Fiscal Responsibility Act that has been tabled to Parliament. We must look at, that's why we're looking at rationalizing or targeting subsidies to strengthen our fiscal, right? We look at the subsidy for diesel, for example. All this strengthening of our fiscal position will also, in the long run, strengthen our economic fundamentals. Then will definitely be reflected in the strengthening of our currency. So these are the factors why we need to be there. But we are on the right track. As I said, since end of February till now, we have outperformed all other currencies against the US dollars. Thank you.
All right, okay, round of applause. All right, okay. Okay, just a little bit of reminder. We just have like 10 minutes YB dengan masa YB. So maybe I will just let 2 or 3 more people to ask. Just keep your question short and simple, dan satu soalan saja dibenarkan. Dalam kiraan 3 boleh YB? 1, 2, 3. Right, silakan YB, boleh pilih siapa yang paling cepat.
Sekali lagi.
Okey, sekali lagi 1, 2 dan belum lagi. 1, 2, 3.
You decide lah, you
decide. Okay, lagi sekali ya.
You decide.
I decide. Okay, baik. In count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, saya perasan yang sebelah sana. Okay, kita bagi peluang dekat sebelah sana lah.
Okay.
So, good day to Zafrul and everyone present here. So, I'm more from the Department of International Relations in So, when we talk about Zafrul, since you are the Minister of Safety, my question to you is that in the semiconductor industry in Malaysia, we are still stuck in the stage of merely doing testing, doing the assembly. So why are we failed to reach the stage of actually doing the work like designing, especially considering the importance of semiconductor in today's world amid the major power rivalry among like US, China? Why is Malaysia failed to get ahead in this field? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so this is a semiconductor story, right? So I think you got to be fair because it's not a fail. I think if you look at where we are today in the semiconductor industry, that's why we came up with the National Semiconductor Strategy. So where are we versus other countries? Right? You are comparing us with the US, with Korea, China. They were more advanced, even earlier on, right? So our industry started in the 1970s. In fact, it was the word Intel coming in 1972. So it's been 50 years where we have strengthened our position in the back end. That's what he's saying on the assembly and testing of the semiconductor sector. So that is. So if you look at the position, the process is IC design, and then there's a back end, and now of course there's advanced packaging all the way to wafer fabrication. Right? So the question is, why are we not in wafer fabrication? So the reason is because we have to start from the back end, from where we were. And now, with the NSS, we want to move the front end. Are we successful in the back end? I must say that we have built many Malaysian companies in the back end today. Even in machine equipment like Vitrox, we have Inari, all in the billion-dollar market caps listed in Malaysia. So, are we successful? We have 7% of the global trade. We have 13% of the global market share of semiconductor OSAT. We have basically number 6 exporter in the world for semiconductor in the back end. So we have some on IC design, to be fair, but it's at the low end of IC design, not at the high complexity of IC design. So that's why in the industrial master plan there's 4 missions. Number 1 is to increase economic complexity. Number 2 to increase tech adoption. Number 3 is we want to make sure that we meet the target for sustainability, and 4 is about inclusivity. So that mission number 1 is about increased economic complexity. Semiconductor is one area where we need to do that, right? So it is a stage, it is a cycle where we naturally have to move. How many wafer fab there is in Southeast Asia? 8, right? Sorry, 4. So there's not many. You got to be. But do we want to be one of them? Yes. But can we get there? Yes. But we need a plan to get there. We need to move up that value chain, and the government working together, working closely together with the semiconductor industry need to achieve that. That's why in the National Semiconductor Strategy, we need support in terms of talent. We're targeting 60,000 talent in phase 1. There are 3 phases in there. So we need a pathway, a roadmap to achieve where we want to achieve, which is the destination that we want to be. We need to make sure that our companies when it comes to IC design will spend more time in focusing in this area, bring the talent back also, a returning talent program, we are calling it. And for Malaysian companies to also move up their value chain. We want our own TSMC, people say, right? We have invested in wafer fab before, Silterra. Now in the hands of private sector, Malaysian also, but again. So we have built a very strong foundation, and that's our competitive advantage, as you know. So it's natural that we should move up their value chain. Other countries have to start from zero. And as I mentioned earlier in my talk just now, there's a lot of geopolitics. We are seeing new design in supply chain where companies now are realigning their supply chain to make sure that the supply chain is more resilient. And we've seen the China +1 policy, even Taiwan +1, Europe +1, where they are looking at location that gives them that strength. And Malaysia has that advantage, similarly to Singapore. So we want to move up their value chain. And I think, don't forget, Malaysia next year is chairman of ASEAN. ASEAN, a population of 670 million people, growing at 4 to 5%, GDP of $3.7 trillion, half of the population under the age of 30. There are opportunities for our semiconductor as well to grow even within ASEAN. So thank you.
Okay. Alright, I don't want to waste more time. Let's go straight forward to the next questions. We just have like another 5 more minutes. Okay, before that, I don't want to leave any international. Do we have any questions from international student? Ada tak in the house?
Oh, there's international student here.
Ada tak international student? Tak ada. Okay, tak ada. Okay, it's okay. Kalau tak ada tak apa. We'll proceed with the questions from the
You decide.
Boleh, saya decide maybe. Right.
I nampak semua sama.
Semua sama ya, laju saya. Okay. So okay.
I don't want to be the bad guy.
Have to count to 3 lah kan? Okay. Alright, in the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, again. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yang dekat baju biru, dekat atas sana. Alright, boleh perkenalkan nama, mungkin tahun berapa dan soalan. Make it short and simple. YB mungkin maybe conciskan jawapan. Kita nak lebih ramai bertanya soalan. Silakan.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Boleh dengar?
My name is Abdul, a second year Bachelor of Finance student from UM. And my question to you is, as a former CEO of a world-renowned bank in Malaysia, what are your thoughts on the rise of digital banking in Malaysia and how will it affect the economy?
Thank you. Okay, for me, digital banking is important because when the government issued 5 new digital bank licenses, I think Grab Bank dah ada dah, GX Bank dia panggil, and then now soon the others are coming on stream. Because one, you must understand that customer experience is important, right? So there are a lot of challenges when traditional bank try to do digital bank. We've seen, I mean, I was from CMB. It's not easy when a big company to move into a new area. It requires new mindset, requires new DNA lah. Even masa saya kat CMB dulu, what we did was we used touch and go to come up out there to be the digital platform. Of course, we have CMB Clicks dan sebagainya. Dan Maybank pun ada, the Maybank to you, Maybank to you. So we have to think out of the box in terms of using new system, new thinking, new thing. So I think digital bank creates that competition. So because sometimes competition will drive innovation. I think it will drive innovation, in fact. And we can see that banks now are more sensitive towards customer experience after the digital banks coming in. In terms of better rate, better service, because banks needs to be more inclusive in their approach. Because banyak people who are bank are actually underbanked, because banks look at returns, but because of their cost structure, the returns requirement is higher. Therefore, banyak orang-orang yang duit sikit ni, the service tak sama dengan orang yang duit banyak, right? So digital bank ni will reduce the cost of doing business, will increase the reach, then financial access to finance also will be better. So I think I'm fully supportive. Of course, the Bank Negara decides at 5, and I hope there will be more, right? So to increase more competition in this area. And to illustrate the point, and I can see that today when I look at the GX Bank, for example, they give good rates. Right? Soon mungkin dia akan start dengan loans dan sebagainya. And for small businesses as well, this is for individual, tapi for small businesses as well, digital bank will give that opportunity for small businesses to thrive. Because they can get working capital easily, and then with their system, they can plug in. So digital bank using digital technology now with AI, they can then take risk consideration better. So they can calculate risk better. And therefore they will be more ready to lend to the micro, small, medium enterprises as well.
Yep. All right. Okay. Round of applause for that. All right. Unfortunately, last questions. Maybe saya perasan kita just bagi dekat UM student back to back. So maybe non-UM students. Any questions from non-UM students? Can you see some hands? All right. Non-UM student. All right. Okay. Go ahead. Yang paling atas tadi. Baju putih. Yep. Alright, keep your questions short and sweet, and maybe introduce yourself.
Alright. Oh, okay. Hi YB, I'm Jason from ABU. I'm an accounting finance major. So my question is, I don't know if this can be really solved. As you can see, like even though US has made sanctions like against Russia, but American technology is still being funneled through other channels into like Russian weapons and missiles. So I want to ask, right, YB, since we see how connected the world is nowadays, are sanctions, can they still be effective against this time?
Okay, this regarding sanctions. For Malaysia, we do not recognize unilateral sanctions. So that, for example, if US sanction Russia, sanction Iran, we don't recognize. We only recognize sanctions by the United Nations. So to your question, that's why when for us in our ministry, for example, when we look at the flows, we will not stop if they follow what our rules are, and if there is indirect sanction or unilateral sanction, we do not recognize, so we will not stop. But of course, companies, it's up to them, right? If companies suddenly don't want to deal with Iran or deal with Russia because of pressure from the US, it's their call. But as a government, we don't, right? So back to your question, I think it's not effective because we can see that they still, as a tool, is not a tool that can be practically enforced in a way that they want to. It works to some extent, but it won't stop it completely. It might increase or drive the cost further, but it will not have that kind of objective. That's from my personal view, because I don't see the flow, so I don't know. I don't have a quantitative facts to support what I just said. But from what I see in the way those particular governments are, they're still surviving, right? If the objective is to stop funding, but because it's difficult for Malaysia, of course we are a very small country, but it is a cooperation of every country in the world, especially those that are aligned. Because we know, for example, China, right? China has a different view, right? So it's got to be. That's why for a sanction to be effective, it has to be a sanction by the United Nations.
All right, okay. Round of applause, everybody. Thank you so much, YB, Datuk, for spending your time here with us, answering questions. Ada yang soalan nakal, ada soalan yang pasal economics and everything. Alright, I think that's pretty much the time that we have with YB. YB, mungkin kalau boleh saya dapatkan YB untuk bagi sepatah dua kata as a closing remarks to MUEC lah yang dah pun berlangsung selama 2 hari. Dipersilakan YB.
So thank you. I think for all of you, I mean, you are the future of Malaysia, and please continue to ask difficult questions. Sometimes we need to be reminded. I mean, policymakers, government sometimes need the kind of input that you all are giving today, and we also need to get ideas, not just inputs. So please share with us solutions that you can think of that can help our economy. I'm more than open to hearing atau mendengar pendapat-pendapat daripada semua. Tak apalah pendapat tu pendapat yang kadang-kadang tak boleh buat, tapi to me as a view, idea is still an idea, and I'm sure with so many people here in this room with different kind of background, different kind of exposure, can give ideas for solution. And please continue to be our conscience as well, because you are, like I said, the future. The generation, we need to engage you. We might agree to disagree, but what's important is we engage. We engage so that people understand where I'm coming from or where the government is coming from, and we also understand where you are coming from. We might not reach an understanding sometimes, especially the youth. We have a very strong views on certain issues, but for government, we are here to support. I mean, for me personally, I really think that I really value the time that you have made to come to join us today. For those of you who was tortured in the run, I apologize. But for those of you, yeah, dia kena torture, especially the yang kat row depan. But thank you again for sacrificing your Sunday with me today.
Yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the faculty and also university, we would like to also thank you so much to YB and also delegates from EP for spending your time here. It's a pleasure. We really appreciate your time and we hope to see you again here, YB. Alright, inshallah. Thank you so much, YB. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for YB, Tengku, Zafrul. Okay, itu sekian saja Town Hall session bersama dengan saya, moderator Muhammad Najmi. Sekarang yang baik itu datang daripada Tuhan, yang salah itu datang daripada diri saya sendiri. Kita akan ada photography sessions. Before that, I'll pass back to the MC. Psikologi Jimat siap. Silakan YB, kita boleh ambil gambar bersama-sama dengan pelajar yang lain. MC, back to you.
Kepada semua rakamkan jutaan terima kasih kepada Yang Berhormat Tengku Zafrul dan Saudara Muhammad Najmi atas sesi dialog awam yang penuh dengan info dan input sebentar tadi.